Coming up on Guys Talking Sports, we talk the NBA Finals, what Golden State has to do to get back into this final series. We're also going to talk about the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference. It's all NBA. My guest host, Earl Ross, joins me now on Guys Talking Sports. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Guys Talking Sports. I'm your host, Al Qualls, and I'd just like to say thank you for all the subscribers, first of all, for subscribing. You know, there's been a lot of people that's been subscribing lately, and I really do appreciate it. But we're going to get started, talk about sports like we always do. So my guest host with me today is Earl Ross. So, Earl, man, how's everything going?
Everything is going lovely, my brother.
Good to hear. All right, so we're not going to be before you long. We're just going to talk a little bit about the NBA Finals and how things are going on right now. Surprisingly, well, I'm going to say surprisingly, but right now Cleveland has a 2-1 series lead over the Golden State Warriors. Just wanted to know about your thoughts about the finals as a whole. So far, I should say.
Well, I guess so far it's been Cleveland has definitely been playing a lot of good defense on the Golden State. Definitely playing, keep away from Stephen Curry basketball. So, it's they definitely made some adjustments a little bit in the fourth quarter, but I think that so far Cleveland has definitely been, maintaining the pace of the game, not allowing Golden State to run up and down the court. And at the same time, it's just really, Stephen Curry has not been able to get off. I mean, I think they found a little something fourth quarter with, a nice pick and roll with him and David Lee. How did they incorporate that in this game is still, debatable. But, right now, Cleveland, being undermanned as they are, has been much more physical than Golden State. And Golden State, has not matched their physicality. And, if Golden State loses this game, it's done. I want to say it's completely done, but I want to probably say it's 90% done. So, Cleve, this is a must-win for Golden State if they want to stay in this series and make it competitive. Everybody's saying Golden State in 7, but from these first 3 games, I don't see how I was going to make 7.
No, I completely agree with you on that. I'm a little shocked that's how the series turned out, especially with the loss of Kyrie Irving in the mix as well. I really thought there was going to be. I have to admit, though, these games have been closer. Well, at least games 1 and 2, for example, was a lot closer. Game 3, I don't even know what happened with that. But I do agree that right now this is a do or die situation for Golden State. If Golden State don't take care of the situation in this game, in Game 4, then at this particular point, there's nothing else to be said. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen for Cleveland. But like I said, I really thought that Golden State would put a better fight, at least in Game 3. Even though that they came back in Game 4, like in the fourth quarter, I should say, it was definitely a telling story for them to be down so many points for most of that game.
Yeah, you got to have the other guy stepping up because clearly they're throwing bodies on Steve Curry. Curry's not that big, so he's not going to bounce people off of him. So, when he's coming down the court, you're having, if not Deladova, then you're having like a J.R. Smith, you're having a Amon Shumpert, you even have LeBron James putting bodies on him. Then they trap him in a 2-1, a 2-1, defense. No one's coming really up to get the ball. And then when they do, you got Harrison Barnes and the other guy that's like breaking. I'm like, yo, you guys got to make shots. It can't be just Klay Thompson making shots because I think they'll be fine with Klay Thompson and Curry making shots, but they don't want anybody else to beat them, which is the same thing that Golden State has to do with them. I'll be fine with LeBron James backing me down and shooting, and basically LeBron James be doing exactly what they want. They just haven't been able to score because nobody else. You can give Deladova credit for his last game. He had 20-something points, but he had 0 points the first game, 9 points the second game, and 20 points the third game. I'm sorry. He's not going to do that the entire series. He's not going to do 20 and 10 for the rest of the series.
No, I do agree with you on that. But it's also telling the fact that he scored that many points in Game 3. Now, it's one thing for LeBron James to score, so many points because, of course, he is LeBron James. It's another thing to have a second option, whether it be J.R. Smith or, one of those guys to step up. But it's telling when you have Dellavedova outplaying you, especially from Curry's standpoint. You have Dellavedova outplaying you, being the MVP of this league. That's really a telling story because it shows that. I mean, like I said, the series is not over yet. But if Curry don't get himself together, and the Warriors need him to step up. The shooting in the fourth quarter was okay, a good sign, but he needs to do that more consistently. And if he can't do that consistently and have Dellavedova outplay him, that's really a telling sign of. And I'm not saying that it's Curry, I'm not saying it's because of Curry's offense. It's also because of Dellavedova's defense. It's like really the whole thing switched where, Dellavedova's offense is better than Curry in these finals. And it seems like that because even though his defense stopped Curry in games 1 and 2, his offense shined in game 3.
Well, you got to think Dellavedova is not getting the same kind of attention right now that Curry's getting. Curry's getting at least 2 people on him the second he gets the ball and bring it down the court. Dellavedova is not getting that attention when he comes down the court. Dellavedova is not even starting, let alone getting that attention. So for people to say that Dellavedova's offense is better than Curry's is laughable because he's not getting the same kind of defensive attention that the Cavs are putting towards Curry. Now, on the same note, you got to have people to be able to bring Cavaliers to change their defensive scheme on them. I mean, they're comfortable with sending 2 people at them all the time. Other people got to make shots. Klay Thompson is going to do his thing, and I think they're okay with that. But you got to have, everybody else in position to do their joint. You got to have, especially Bogut down low, and he's been like non-existent. Matt Barnes has been like not non-existent. Everybody else has been non-existent. You get those other guys to come in.
Matt Barnes, you said?
I'm sorry. I mean, not Matt Barnes. Sorry, the other Barnes. But no, you got to get the other people from Golden State to actually, make shots. That way, you're going to pull people to guard them, and Curry will not have those 2-on-1, kind of traps he's been getting the entire series.
Well, I just found out that that Andre Iguodala is starting in place of Andrew Bogut for this game. It's coming up. So he's making the adjustments. Steve Kerr is making some adjustments. So I grant him that. I think he's starting to listen to what the people are saying to do something. And I think, he's starting to say, okay, I need to do something different.
He needs to put in Lee because that fourth quarter, Curry and Lee was running that pick and roll, and Cavaliers wasn't doing anything with it.
I was expecting him to put Lee in. I mean, at least over Bogut. We'll see how it goes. I think he's saving Lee for later on, but I think what it is that David Lee may have gave them the blueprint they needed as an offense to get started. Because, whether it's David Lee or Spates, they could utilize both of them in the paint as passing big men to get their offense going. And I think that's something that they solely need.
Yeah, the Cleveland Cavaliers over the season have not been good against the pick and roll. I mean, really have not been good against the pick and roll. They got killed a couple of games by San Antonio. They were getting killed a lot of games with Atlanta. Atlanta just didn't do any pick and roll in the Eastern Conference Finals, which surprised the complete heck out of me. So, I mean, they were even getting touched by Miami a couple of times when they were doing the pick and roll. So they haven't been good in the pick and roll situation. They got something there. I mean, granted, I wouldn't bring it out immediately. I would let the game kind of see where it goes. And if you want to put that pick and roll, then bring an offensive in, let them react to it. But, you got David Lee on there, 2-time All-Star. Put him in.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. David Lee he's been in playoff appearances. And right now, the system that they currently have is not working. They really need to focus on what it is that is working and capitalize from it. And I'm pretty sure that that's what they're looking to do in Game 4. Now, let's just see if they were able to execute whatever plan Steve Kerr has in front of them. Because, like I said, if they don't get this done, and this is a must win, basically. If they don't win Game 4, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if Cavaliers win this game, then I cannot deny LeBron James winning one out the next three.
One out of next three. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I mean, basically, I can understand. Yeah, I can see that because in due time it'll happen. We'll see how it goes in the next 3 years. As far as the amount of people who was brought in and who's taken out of the team as a whole. So
I'm sorry, not the next 3 years. I'm sorry, the next 3 games. I'm sorry. Let me.
Okay. All right, that's more feasible. Okay, next
no,
3 games.
No, the next 3 years, I can't. I don't know. I can't say that.
No, but LeBron James only thing he's doing is just saying, you know what, I'm providing y'all just one, I'm trying to do my best to give you one championship. He's not making no claims that it's going to be another dynasty at this point. And I think he's starting to realize that this may be the chance that he has to get Cleveland, the city, over that hump and actually win a championship.
I granted, and I mean, it's right now, I think he has maybe, as far as winning championships, he's been to the finals, what's his 5th consecutive year. I think as far as the Eastern Conference goes, I think he probably has maybe 2, maybe a 3-year window to keep going back before everybody else gets good, because eventually he's going to go on a decline. I mean, he's been in the league since he was right out of high school, and eventually it's going to get like Kobe. The older he gets, the injuries are going to get to him. And Kobe didn't start declining until his these last 2 or 3 years when he got injuries.
No, I agree with that. And not only that, I mean, like, Cleveland really don't have another piece to step up and. Well, I take that back. I keep forgetting Kyrie Irving, but as like you said, as LeBron diminishes, other people's going to have to step up. Kyrie is looking like that next person to do that. And, for Cleveland, will be interesting to see how it goes, especially with his recovery for next year.
Like I said, I told people, I was like, when I heard that they gave out Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love in that trade, I was like, Cleveland they doing for now and not the future, because the complete mindset would have been, you got LeBron James, you got Kyrie Irving, and you still had Andrew Wiggins. There was no reason to get rid of Andrew Wiggins to bring in Kevin Love when you got a kid that can eventually come up under Kyrie, come up under LeBron, and then when they start going on the downside, you got, Wiggins, hopefully, just getting into his prime.
But not only that, this what I was like, yeah, like you said, they'll win now team. But I always believed in Tristan Thompson to begin with. So I never really thought about, I never understood why would you bring in somebody, a superstar in Kevin Love when you had a Tristan Thompson who may not be able to shoot threes or anything like that. But at this point, you needed more of a defensive presence who does the same thing Kevin Love do, minus the shooting, but yet is more defensive minded. So when Cleveland done this, I was just like, you're losing. I mean, like, you're putting more offense. You're trying to instill more offense into their system, and Tristan Thompson is now sitting left side. I said to myself, anyway, if I'm a owner of a team or general manager, like, once Kevin Love came into the play, I would have called up Cleveland and said, hey, what are you offering for Tristan Thompson? Is there any offers? Is he on the table? Like, it's amazing how, it took a Kevin Love injury for people to start understanding the potential of what Tristan Thompson is and how he's helping out this team defensively.
Defensively, he's a beast, and I mean, right now, I mean, they don't. I mean, he's really doing a number on the Golden State Warriors, and that they've the last time they faced something like this was when they played Memphis. But I mean, Memphis just didn't have the manpower to really, to keep up and stick it to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, they had them down 2-1, and I thought Memphis might steal it, but then they just went flat for like the next couple of games, and Golden State just, basically ran them out the building.
No, I completely agree about that. And this is why I'm not going to write off the Warriors yet, because they're pretty much in the same boat. But it'd be interesting to see how they respond. And like I said, maybe Kerr figured out the formula to finally get over the hump with Cleveland. We'll wait and see. But I do have to say this in regards to this whole media thing about LeBron and his legacy and all this stuff. I basically, you know how I feel about LeBron James and the media. Basically, I just keep hearing all and over about his legacy and how, I understand that, but this is still a team basketball. And it seems like so much more. It's like, if the Cleveland Cavaliers win the championship, LeBron's legacy is just much greater because of the amount of the players that's around him. He's bringing them to the finals. It's not just him. Like, he's not the only person scoring all these points. Like, the team has elevated because of LeBron James's play. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a team concept here.
It is a team concept, but I think as far as the media goes, I think, they hitched their wagons to LeBron James the second he came into the league. And I think most people right now have a short-sighted view, call it what you want. The second that Kobe Bryant had his issues in Denver, Colorado, was around the time that LeBron James was like a junior or senior in high school. Once he became a high school senior, and they thought that he was the next thing coming because they had to find somebody that was an anti-Kobe, they hitched their wagons to LeBron James and roll with him. Now they can't hop off the wagon because there's nobody else to go with him. Now between that time, Kobe Bryant won two, championships, not with the same team as that LeBron is, but he won two championships. In my opinion, with probably two harder teams than LeBron James going with. However, the media hooked their wagon behind LeBron James. For the most part, he's lived up with it. I mean, yeah, the Miami thing was a little bit, not handled properly. He went with, three of the superstars, which was questionable. But they can't not go away from him. There's nobody else to go to.
Yeah. That I guess you're right. But it's just that, so much talk is about LeBron and LeBron this and LeBron that. And I even made a comment when I was talking, I guess when we was chatting, in regards to, there's, LeBron James is definitely deserving of the MVP if Cleveland wins. Of course, if they doesn't, he's not deserving of the Finals MVP. But the point I'm making is that it's just there's so much hype about it's so much of not hype, but I guess pressure on LeBron when you hear about with the media talking about about him, and if he doesn't win with this team, and if he does, this solidifies his legacy and all this stuff. And it's like he's done a great job in this finals. Don't get me wrong. I just feel as though that it's just a little too much focus on him when there's actual other team members involved, or Cleveland as a whole, the team as a whole, I should say. With J.R. Smith stepping up, which is so kind of surprising. With Dellavedova, of course, and how he's been able to step into the spotlight. I mean, it's just that it's so many things that we can address in regards, or the simple fact of, like, with Golden State, how far, how the fact that they kind of took a step back in regards to this. It's just the whole thing. Talk about LeBron James is so isolated to the point that all the focus is on him, whether something happens to the rest of the Cleveland team or not.
I agree. Now, I think the best thing, well, the NBA is probably in a very unique position depending, no matter who wins. Now, if LeBron James wins the series, which I kind of believe he probably is, I don't know what the score is right now. But if LeBron James wins this series, minus Kyrie Irving, minus Kevin Love, on a team that has collective role players, which I think is a lot better than people give him credit for. Maybe not as good as the Miami Heat team that he was on, but a lot better defensively, and I think a lot better offensively than people are giving him credit for. Then I think that solidifies his legacy. And then saying LeBron James is, they'll try to say LeBron James is better than Michael, which I don't believe he is because they're two different players. However, if Golden State comes back and wins, and you have Stephen Curry just has a monster game and goes off, then right now you're positioning the next person who's going to be quote unquote the rival to LeBron James. So now you have your Bird in the East and your Magic in the West.
That's an interesting scenario. I never really thought about that comparison. And that could solidify. I mean, if done again, let's say for next year, that could solidify as it'd be similar to how the Spurs are with Miami when LeBron was there. So like you said, it'd be interesting to see what the outcome is. Quick note for you. It's almost at the end of the first quarter. Golden State is up 31-24 over Cleveland.
Predictable.
Yeah. So I think they figured out what they need to do because I think it's the first time they even got over 30 points in a quarter this whole finals. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see how that goes, down the road. But they may have figured out the formula. We'll see how it plays out for the rest of the game. But I guess with everything going on with the NBA draft coming up, and I guess free agency is going to start soon after that. With the NBA Finals being where it is right now, do you think that a lot of people is how can I say this? The past couple of games has all been close. Not because of people's performance per se, more because of the defense. I guess so. Being that means it's been so close, so many close games. Is anybody besides LeBron James due for a breakout game?
Two people I think are due for a breakout game. And you might think I'm crazy for that, but I thought the last game was going to be his game. Golden State, I'm thinking not Curry, Klay Thompson. And from Miami Heat, now LeBron James, he's been doing his thing. Now J.R. Smith, now Iman Shumpert, but Mike Miller.
Okay, all right. The Klay Thompson I was okay with. The Mike Miller kind of shocked me. Why do you think Mike Miller would be? I'm interested in finding out why you think Mike Miller will have a breakout game.
Because the first year that Miami Heat won a championship, Mike Miller had a Game 7 where he could not miss behind the arc, and that put them over the hump. Now he doesn't have a Kyrie Irving, he doesn't have a Kevin Love, so you got a collection of role players. You got James Jones, who's you're not sure you're going to get from him. J.R. Smith probably. But you kind of know what he's going to. He might start off hot and cool down. Iman Shumpert is mostly defense on the wing. He's not known as your offensive threat. So that leaves only one other person. Who are you going to go down to? Sean Murray? No. I mean, only person I can think that's had a relationship with LeBron James, and LeBron James likes going to the hole and getting them snipers in the corner. You either got James Jones or you got Mike Miller.
I never really thought of it that way. I really didn't expect you to say that as far as Mike Miller. I agree with you though. It would be somebody different for Cleveland. I thought it was gonna. I thought you was gonna end up saying Moscow.
No, Moskov. I think Moskov has been playing pretty good, so you know what to expect from him. But for in order to Cleveland to really just put the dagger in the neck, it's not going to be LeBron James. It's going to be that unsung hero that's going to just basically slam the door on Golden State that they can't they can't deal with. You can deal with LeBron James scoring 40 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. No more than 8 because then you get murdered. But if you can have 11 assists and then you have Mike Miller having 15 points, you lose in the game.
Yeah, but it kind of makes it funny the fact that they brought in Mike Miller because of the simple fact is that because he had the playoff experience, and it's funny that they're doing that and they're in the finals, and majority of their players there's been about 7 players that's played for them, which is kind of funny the fact that they're withstanding all these minutes, with just 7 players, like. I thought that it was interesting. Found it funny because of the fact that eventually they're going to get tired. You saw how Dellavedova had to go to the hospital to get because of dehydration, and it's just amazing how they've been able to sustain this so long. But it'd be interesting to see how long they can keep it because if they run out of gas quick, Warriors is going to hit them hard, and it's going to be like they never even knew what. It's gonna be like they never knew what hit them.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's in the best interest of Cleveland if they win the game tonight. They'll probably if Cleveland wins tonight, then I can guarantee them losing in Golden State, but they better close it out in Cleveland because you don't want to go back to Golden State 7 games because then it's a toss up.
Yeah, no. If Cleveland holds off and wins, yeah, I mean, I don't see LeBron letting it go back on a game 7. LeBron would close it out himself for game 6. Like he already to go through all that and know that you could just win one game and just knock it out. I think LeBron already has that experience to do something like that. So if they don't win tonight, this is basically a must-win game for them. And I think it sounds like based on the score that they understand that. So it'd be interesting to see how they do it down the road.
Yeah,
and see at the end of the game, I should say.
Yeah, because I think LeBron James he wants to get this over and done with as soon as possible because he doesn't want this to linger on because if it does, I think attrition is only going to hit his team more so than Golden State, and I think Golden State is due for at least one breakout game where they're not going to brick. I don't think it's going to be Cleveland. I'm not looking at the score. I think if it goes back to Golden State, I think that's the game that they're going to break out offensively.
No, I do agree with you on that. And like I said, it'd be very interesting to see how this plays out because the fatigue is going to have to hit them sooner or later. And it'd be best for them to make sure that they're ready. I mean, the Warriors is going to pounce on it as soon as they sense the fatigue factor. So we'll see how that plays out. Golden State this is a sense of urgency for them, and we'll see how that goes down. For this game.
And Kershaw, no, he played with the most egomaniac in the game with Michael Jordan. So you ought to know Mike will be screaming at you if you end up on your game and just wouldn't throw you the ball.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what makes it interesting because you would think that Steve Kerr would have the experience to know what it is that he needs to do to step, for his team to step up. So, and like I said, it's too early to tell right now. It's 2 games to 1. Who's to say that, Golden State wins the next 3 games and calls it a series. So be interesting to see how all this plays out.
I would love for the whole series to go game 7 and Golden State to win in game 7 on the last 3-pointer by by Steve Curry.
I was gonna say some other unsung hero, but okay, I can understand that.
Oh wow!
It would be one of those. I would like to see it with I mean, of course, everybody knows Steve Kerr, Klay Thompson, the weapons that they have. But I want somebody to shoot it and make it like somebody you ain't expect, like Andrew Bogut or David Lee or one of those people. Maurice Spates just throws up a heave hole and it goes in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I believe that the NBA right now is in a very unique position because I think they recognize they need to have someone to be that contrast to LeBron James to keep the league up. They were really going for Kevin Durant, but he's had some injuries, and then you have Westbrook on the team, which makes it hard for Kevin Durant to be that contrast because Westbrook is, stars like really like shining. And trust me, I don't think they're going to be on the same team together. I think one of the two is going to be going. Personally, I think Westbrook, but different story. But
I don't know about that, but you're definitely right. Westbrook's popularity is definitely through the roof. To be honest, I think more so than Durant at this point. But the problem is that as you've seen, even with Durant out, Westbrook can't carry the team by himself. Now, if he does handle it the way that he does, then we'll see. But as of right now, Durant can't. Durant is going to end up. I think Durant is going to end up leaving more so than Westbrook. But with them fully established, I'm interested to see what happens with the center now that not Adams, Enes Kanter is now with them. So and they at full strength. Now they could add a little bit more pieces to the puzzle and actually be right in the mix, but it doesn't matter because they're still going to be in a mix of a heavy playoffs with the West. The East needs to do something. That's been always until the East does something to help challenge Cleveland. And Chicago, I think, took a step back now that Tibbs is out. But until they do something on the East, LeBron is always going to be represented in the finals.
Yeah, and I mean the East has been pretty lukewarm for the last couple of years. I mean, you think about for the last 5 years that LeBron just went to the finals, and you think about even when he went to the finals with Cleveland the first go around, and he was with Miami. You think about it. I mean, outside of the teams that's really given them a lot of comp. I mean, you think really Boston with their big three gave them a fits. Because Paul Pierce is able to really D him up very well. But outside of that, I mean, you had Chicago with Derrick Rose, but Derrick Rose has been injured the last couple of years. New York has not been good. I mean, then you went to Miami. Who was really around there then? I mean, you had the Indiana Pacers. They caught a bad break with Paul George at the beginning of the season. I thought they were really going to be on the cusp, but I think Paul George's center, I don't know what his problem was. If he was able to stay consistent, that would have been the biggest threat to Miami or Cleveland, no matter what. But they really haven't had teams, let's say in the Michael Jordan era in the East, when Michael Jordan had to deal with Boston, he had to deal with Detroit, he had to deal with New York, Atlanta to a certain degree, Miami later on. I mean, he had teams that he really had. Indiana Pacers. He had teams that he had to deal with much harder and much better than LeBron James had in the East. So when people say that, LeBron James is better, he's doing good, I'm like, you can't compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan. They played in two different eras where the defense was a lot more better and could do a lot more in Michael Jordan's era as opposed to LeBron James, where basically you sneeze on someone, you get a foul. But second, LeBron James hasn't had 3 or 4 good teams that he had to deal with every season to the way that Jordan did.
You pretty much just nailed every argument that I've been talking in regards to the whole debate between LeBron and Michael Jordan. I said this last week with Adrian. You'd be amazed at so many people still comparing this, like, and saying that, LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. LeBron is the best athlete in the NBA, period, by far. Better than Jordan, better than Kobe, better than anybody. And I get this all the time, especially on Google Plus. Every time, every community I see in regards to the NBA is always about how great LeBron is. Now, like I said, he is a great athlete. Don't get me wrong, but you cannot keep comparing. Like you said, you can't keep comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan. Those are two different eras. They did not play in the same era. It's two completely different eras. Like you said, Michael Jordan went through a lot to get to where he was. LeBron James, there was teams there, don't get me wrong, but they weren't on that level. The East wasn't on this now, is not on the level as the East was in the 90s. Never had been, never will be. Like, no. The records alone state that. I mean, you had teams that was below 500 in the playoffs this year. You would have never seen that in the 90s. And to be honest, I'll be completely honest, the 8th seed in the 90s was probably they gave the Atlanta Hawks a run for their money and probably would have beat them. And if they ever was to go on a 7-game series. And it's just amazing. Like, so many young people now still try to compare. Like, yes, I give you that LeBron James is the best player you've seen in this era. You haven't seen Michael Jordan or what he went through to get to where he was in the finals. So yes, you wouldn't understand that he won 6 championships. You wouldn't understand how he got those 6 championships, how he got to that point. Like, he went through a lot of teams that would totally slack these teams that are out right now. Like, beat them, no question. And it's just like, so many people don't understand that. Well, let me say that, not so many people. A lot of the young people right now don't understand that. Like, they figure as though that the same level of NBA is the same level of where it is now than where it was in the 90s. And it's not like that. Not at all.
I mean, this team right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers, if you went to this team, he's going to be put in a pantheon and say he took a bunch of scrubs or a bunch of role players to be to the NBA. I'm sitting here looking like, okay, this team is not playing the Portland Trail Blazers back in the day, not playing the Lakers back in the day, not playing the Phoenix Suns with Barkley on there back in the day. They're not playing the Houston Rockets back in the day before Barkley, when you had Olajuwon, you had Clyde Drexler. I'm like, give me a break. This team is not playing those teams. All those teams would have destroyed this team in 5 games easily. And I'm only going on the West. I haven't even gotten to the East.
5 games. I laugh at that. I do laugh at that. Yeah, you're right though. The East would have been like the whole thing is this. You're right. You're absolutely right. LeBron James's team. Well, let me say this: Cleveland Cavaliers these past 5 years, these teams, the East has been a cakewalk. Let's just call it how it is. It's been nothing but a cakewalk. Majority of the teams wasn't really deserving enough to be in the playoffs to me. In time, maybe, yes. But as of right now, we all talked about it this whole NBA season, how the East was weak. Like, there was talks about Western teams that didn't make the playoffs should have been on the Eastern Conference team, conference playoff teams, because it would have been that much better competition. So, and it was serious talks about it. So when you get to the point where, Cleveland went through a couple of teams, and, we all said, hey, there's only 3 teams that, maybe 2 or 3 teams that Cleveland needs to worry about. Atlanta, Washington, Chicago. Like, that's really that was really 3 teams that they need to worry about. And to be honest, Cleveland was only going to have to play one of them. Or maybe once or 2 of them at the most to get to the finals. So they did that with Chicago, and they did it with Atlanta. But with the absence of John Wall, I think that the Atlanta wouldn't have made it.
No, John Wall, they weren't doing that good when John Wall before he got hurt.
No, I have to admit, I would have loved to see Washington against Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. I would love to see that more than Atlanta, because that would have been a solidified, bona fide Eastern Conference Finals matchup, something that everybody would have wanted to see.
And let me ask you a question: do you think that this Cleveland Cavaliers team playing against Indiana Pacers of last year, or the Boston Celtics when they went to the championship 2 years, would have Cavaliers team now could have beat them?
You mean this Cavaliers team?
Yeah.
No. Let me see. Indiana, no. Because you had George Hill, you had Lance Stevenson when he was good, Paul George, of course. Then you have David West and Roy Hibbert. No, not at all, not at all. And all of them at the height of their careers would have been enough to give Cleveland a run for his money. Now, granted, if you throw in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love pre-injured, that would have been more. I don't know what would to be honest, I don't know what would the outcome would be, because that would have been a great matchup to see. If you throw Kyrie in, you throw Kevin Love in, I would have put that. It would be similar. To be honest, it would be similar to the Miami and Indiana. You know how those series. So I would love to see that. That probably would have won 7 games. As far as Indiana from last season, Boston. KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, you add in with Rondo?
No.
Which Boston team? Which Boston team are you talking about?
I would say the Boston team that won their first NBA championship with those guys on there. Well, take it the second year when Rondo was really coming up on his own.
Rondo coming up on his own? That team? Yes.
You think this Cleveland Cavaliers
Boston would take him because the disdain, hatred for LeBron, Rondo would have been, he would have played with more intensity. And let's be honest, no one would have been able to stop Ray Allen shooting. And even if they did, Paul Pierce would and LeBron James would kind of cancel each other out in a way. And the whole thing with KG and Kevin Love would have been an interesting matchup. But to be honest, I would give Boston I probably would say Boston in 6 or 7 games.
I can go with that.
So, but like you said, the thing about it is that we don't have those teams anymore where it's a competition. I mean, that's really how I see it. It's like right now, I would love to see if Cleveland was on the Western Conference, like in the Western playoffs, Western Conference playoffs. I would love to see them in like first round, second round, third round to see how far they would have actually gone.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think people get caught up in the caught up in the moment by giving LeBron James, in my opinion, way too much credit. I mean, now I will be the first person to say that LeBron James has lived up to all the expectations and then some. But however, his argument is going to be like, well, I can only play against the people who are of my era. And granted, you are of your era. But if you want to start comparing the best of all time, then you got to look at the body of work that he did against the body of work that Jordan did. And based on the teams that you played, you put LeBron James in the 80s and the 90s era when basically defense could do whatever they want. He's a crier. He complains and he bitches all the time. I don't know how he would have reacted back with the bad boys banging on him like that.
Well, yeah, that is true.
I mean, he's big enough to take the hits, but I don't know how he would have reacted because the bad boy Pistons, my overall personal favorite team, would have put his ass on the ground a bunch of times, begged him to cry about it, and then would have cursed at him when he did.
Okay, all right, say no more. No, I agree with you on that. It all depends on the era, and basically, you know, he has to understand that, like I said, the teams are put in front of him. Don't get me wrong, and I can't really blame him for that because the competition is not there for him on the Eastern side. Like, to be honest with you, let's just call it how I see it. When it comes to the playoffs, there's really not a competition. He could cakewalk his way. Like you said, he brought this team all the way to the finals because of injuries and the lack of competition on the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, you only play who's in front of you, and that's all they're going to say. This is the teams that was in the East. This is who I played with, and I can't argue with that. You can only play against who you're with, and that's who he is. And for right now, LeBron James is the it factor. They really want I think they really want Curry. I think they really wanted Curry maybe over the last couple of the weeks. They really want Curry to be that contrast because you don't know what Kevin Durant is going to be like come next season.
No, they need Curry to be that contrast because, like you said, this team is, and truth be told, this team is in a position to go, to reach the finals for the next couple of years, at least with the players that they have already under contract. So they can really start something golden here. And it's just the right opportunity for them to cash it in, especially if they win the finals. I mean, if they win the finals, it starts a trend where it could be not the diminished popularity of LeBron James, but more so from a media standpoint. It'll be more focused, hopefully be more focused on other players like Curry or, whoever wins. But I don't know if it's still going to affect LeBron's media, I guess you could say right now.
No, I don't think it is, and I think, like you just said, I think there's I think from a media perspective and a marketing dollar standpoint, you already got Stephen Curry doing a lot of commercials and a lot of endorsements. I think win or lose, depending on how he plays and depending on how the Cleveland Cavaliers finish out this series, I think he's going to be set up to be marketed more from an NBA standpoint. I mean, from the East, you really got just really LeBron James. Dwayne Wade is, dressing funny. He's married to Gabrielle Union. I can't hate on him for that crap. And maybe she's dressed him. Who knows what the hell? But you really got LeBron James. Melo he's in New York, but you got to see what happens there. But really, it's just LeBron James in the East. And then you have Kevin Durant. You have Westbrook. You have Stephen Curry. James Harden has to have one more good season without being a head case before I think they really start putting him up there. Dwight Howard, I think, is off the meter for right now. Really have maybe like about 4 or 5 people who they want to put against LeBron James because, like you said, outside of a Derrick Rose healthy Chicago Bulls, there is nobody else they can put against LeBron James in the East.
Yeah, well, hopefully now, once the all season begins and with the trades and all that and the free agent signing, hopefully that changed the landscape of the Eastern Conference because truth be told, they does need a shot in the arm to become better teams. I mean, because if it goes to another season with the Eastern Conference being as weak as it is and another couple of teams going into the finals, that could really hurt the NBA brand as a whole.
It is, and I think the NBA knows it. I think that what they ultimately wanted and they never got was the LeBron Kobe, NBA Finals. That's what they really wanted.
Wait, who did I gotta remember. Was it a Magic Lakers final? I have to double check when the Dwight Howard and Orlando made the finals. I think that was the time when they beat Cleveland with LeBron James in the mix to make it to the finals. But I forgot who was in the West. Who whether
They played the Lakers.
Oh, well, then there you go. Like you said, I know Orlando, I know Cleveland, and I remember it because everybody in the NBA was saying that they wanted a Kobe LeBron finals, and it was almost in their grasp to have it until Orlando and Dwight Howard and Hilo Turkoglu took that away from them.
So. Yeah, because they wanted that. You wanted that, the baton to be passed. You had that kind of the passing of the baton in a sense when you had, um, Jordan go up against, Magic in his first finals, and he basically won, and in the quote unquote that baton was passed from Magic to Jordan. Jordan never necessarily passed that baton per se to anybody because he just left, but yeah, Kobe Bryant come to be the next best thing. Then you wanted to have that Kobe and LeBron. They never got that, those two to get up in a match. They wanted LeBron and Durant. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but now you got LeBron and Kerr. So you almost got kind of like a Bird and Magic kind of thing where you hope one wins, the other wins, and it kind of like goes on like that. And then that's the best thing that the NBA can hope for right now.
Yeah, that was similar to like the Paul Pierce, the Boston and the Lakers going back and forth in the finals a couple of years back.
Oh, that was magic. They had you had the Celtics win, and then you had the Lakers win the second year. Then they had like the Lakers and the Celtics go for the third year. Lakers won. That was that was picture perfect for the NBA, no matter how you sliced it.
Yeah, that's true. Just a quick heads up to let you know with 4 minutes left in the second quarter, Golden State is leading Cleveland 48-33.
And we're going to have to go off on this call so I can go see some of this game before I go to sleep.
Yeah, same here. So for everybody else, this is Guys Talking Sports. We had a great time talking as always. Earl, I know you want to just plug away where they can reach you at.
You can reach me on Facebook at my name. You can reach me on Twitter, JEROS the number 7. And I'm actually on Instagram, the same username. And I also want us to say, rest in peace to the man Dusty Rose. The American dream. The man was a beast.
I have to say that too. First of all, yes, rest in peace to Dusty Rose. American Dream, one of my favorite all-time wrestlers. I was still shocked the fact that I heard that of his passing. He was literally one of my favorite wrestlers of all time because I always used to watch the NWA way before I watched the WWF or WWE when WWF, which now is WWE. But I always loved NWA. I always watched the NWA. I always loved American D, Dusty Rhodes. I loved everything, his character and everything in the NWA. I have to admit, when he came into the WWE, the WWF, the polka dots wasn't my thing. But the NWA was always where I remember him and all the matches that he had against the Four Horsemen, and also when he teamed up with Nikita Koloff with the Superpowers. That was one of my best teams.
You taking it back, homie?
Yeah, no, I have to admit, I was an NBA fanatic when I was young. So it definitely was a loss. Again, rest in peace to Dusty Rose. For everybody else, Guys Talking Sports, you can catch me, as you see on my logo screen, and I am Al Qualls. You can also catch me on alqualls.com, of course. That's where I post, of course, the Guys Talking Sports videos as well. You can also catch me on Instagram, the same name. Also catch me on YouTube. Subscribe. You can subscribe on the lower right-hand side, which is going to be right here next to me, pointing right there where I'm pointing at right now. You can also subscribe. Appreciate everybody's comments. Appreciate everybody's comments about everything, about the Guys Talking Sports, the whole video podcast, everything. I really do appreciate it. For everybody else, you can catch us next week. We're going to talk again about the NBA Finals, I guess, what happens now, next week, of course. And we're going to talk more sports. We're going to get in touch with it, talk about everything else sports related as well. But for now, Guys Talking Sports is over, and you guys take care.